Wow. Total professional. Professional, baby. Professional. Oh. And then the house came. Then the house came crack. Then there's the ceiling. Wow. Okay. Hey, everybody. This is LVU Toro. The fancy action now. I forgot one thing. This thing right here. Yeah, that I overuse. And Philberto is totally right. I'm totally on top of this thing way too much. I have no idea how I'm going to extricate myself from this situation. I got an idea. How about that? How about that? Okay, I'll just go ahead and do that. All right. So, we are like really zoomed in here. Okay. Let's do it live. We'll do it live. Let's do it live. All right. So this is fancy action now. This is my live reaction to the Cyberpunk We Gonna Do Better video. Should we listen to this man that hurt us? Is he gonna hurt us again? Is he promised he wouldn't hurt us? Can I believe him? Is he not gonna hurt us again? So I do believe I do believe CDPROJEKTRED had their hearts in the right place. I think it was a very ambitious game. I think they definitely bit off more than they could chew, which you could tell by the constant delays, right? The constant delays is before release. Oh, we're getting ready to release, 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 and then it's not running right. It's not running right, or this, that, or the other. And I think they were robbing Peter to pay Paul, and they were getting beat up on crunch, which is going to lead to unionization at some point. I mean, crunch is absolutely physically abusive. And I know that. And that kind of thing can hurt your health even when you're a relatively young person. You need to have some rest and recreation and balance. The Army knows this. We all know it. We all know that if you're going to run people at a high velocity, you have to give them time to blow off steam, etc., etc., etc. So let's see if he addresses crunch in this carbuncle. Let me go ahead, and that's the other thing I forgot. Let me go ahead and crack this chat. We're going to crack the chat. Crack that chat out. Yeah. All right, let's go. It kind of reminds me of the woman from Fargo, which was really crazy. He's fleeing the interview. He's fleeing the interview. That made me laugh out loud. That part made me laugh out loud. Okay. All right. So, this setup, I just threw it together. Okay. Give it a chance. Give it a chance. I threw it together so that my viewers and me can do a little cross-examine on this mea culpa that this guy's coming out. Now, that takes anytime. This is absolutely the right thing to do. Anytime somebody doesn't do a mea culpa like this, who doesn't come out and say, we realize we screwed up, we realize there were problems, we had a balancing. Everybody knows that people screw up constantly. Constantly. Some people's lives are a complete screw up. I took a look at other people. I like people I know and versus how much they screw up versus how much I screw up. And I gave myself like an A-. I'm doing pretty good. I get shit done. But that being said, when you come out and do a mea culpa, it still takes courage. You're going out to the group, to the mob who can stone you to death virtually. And in this society, we're virtually stoning people online. People are killing themselves over bad feedback and bullying online, which is a disgrace. And it's the ancient form of stoning where you were shamed by the village and they were allowed to stone you to death if you brought shame onto them. That is frightening. The mob can turn on you, especially when you're coming out and going, "Hey, we blew your money and we still need more money," or "Hey, we screwed up this project and now the water is toxic." You know what I mean? It takes a lot of courage to be the guy to walk out, or lady, or anyone, to walk out and be like, "Whoa, we're sorry. This is what we're doing. We hope it's good enough. And we're doing our best." You know, it's like, it's tough to be that person. But that is the sign of an adult. If you can't accept blame and accountability, take the slings and arrows, make the changes that need to be changed, whether you're successful or not, or whether you're removed from the position or not, or doesn't matter. Coming out and saying, "We made the wrong call. We did the wrong thing. We bit off more than we could chew." Which is what he's going to tell us in a few minutes. That's the sign of a grown person. That's the sign of an adult. You have become an adult when you can stand in front of the judgment of others and hold your head up and say, "I'm human, I am flawed, I did wrong, this is what I will do better," etc., etc. A lot of people don't have that courage. Those people are not fully adults. You have to be able to accept that. You have to be able to face that stuff down. It's almost like an initiation into adulthood, when you have to stand in being judged for something you really screwed up. So, and you won't miss that lesson. And see, what happens is, that's why I want to encourage you to do this as a person. If you're scared to do it, because you literally transform yourself instantaneously. Like, once you get it out, which is a relief, believe it or not, and you face all of the negative feedback that you're going to get, and you offer constructive solutions, that's the part. If you don't offer any solutions, I mean, you know, then the mob's really going to come and stone you. So offer some solution, even if it's, you know, if it's incomplete or whatever. You may even solicit help from quarters that will rapidly improve the situation. So once you do that, you are transformed literally into an adult. You literally go Super Saiyan, and you transform into I stood down. See, and until you stand down some serious feedback, some serious flack, until you take some serious flack, you're not really a grown-up. Adversity is what makes an adult. Facing adversity. Not the adversity itself, but facing it down, or facing it through. Even if you come out with scars, even if you come out with cuts, even if you lose a pinky ring, whatever it is, you come out of there transformed into another being. It doesn't matter how much money you have or possessions you have, you are a higher level of development. So let's see what Mr. Mea Culpa has to say here.
Hey everyone, my name is Marcin Iwiński. I'm the co-founder of CDPROJEKTRED. When I started CDPROJEKTRED 25 years ago, one of its founding principles was honest and direct communication with gamers. When CDPROJEKTRED, the game development part of CDPROJEKTRED, was born, it added something important to the principle: the ambition to make the best games in the world. It became our mission and something that guided us up until now. Based on the legacy of genuine and honest communication, trusted us and pre-ordered our game. And despite good reviews on PC, the console version of Cyberpunk 2077 did not meet the quality standard we wanted it to meet. I and the entire leadership team are deeply sorry for this, and this video is me publicly owning up to that.
Wow, okay. I just told you, this is my first time watching this. This is exactly what that guy did. He came out and he said, and that's the first thing you should do before you say anything else: apologize. Apologies cost nothing, and they are transformative in situations. transformative. I use it a lot of times when I'm coaching young people. I will open with an apology. Well, like, you didn't do anything to me. No. But have you received an apology for who upset you? No. And they're mad about it. Right away, the emotion comes. I said they may never apologize to you, whether it be a school teacher, another student, their parent. It doesn't matter. The harm is done. The harm is there. The person who did the harm, it's almost a moot point because they're out of that situation at the moment. You're with that person. What does that person really want to hear? They don't want $20. Maybe they do. They want an apology. You've hurt them. They've been harmed. So if the person who did the harm is not available or will not offer them an apology, I'll do it. Because a lot of people aren't mature enough to do it. A lot of people don't have the balls to look the person they harmed in the face and say, I apologize. I was acting like a low-class person. I'm the one who did harm to you, and I did it on purpose, and I liked it. That's what people think. That's why people are afraid. We all have negative tendencies. We are not good or evil. We're both. So we all have that balance on different ends of the spectrum. So there's a middle line, there's good and there's evil, and we're somewhere on that spectrum. Maybe we're a little bit more good than other people, but we also have an evil part. Even if it's a small evil part, you still have one. You still have the bad thought every now and again. You still have an evil thought every now and again. We all have them, sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes on an hourly basis, or whatever. There's people out there suppressing their evil intents all over the world, man. That's why that we have laws and jails and things like that to discourage people. And if you don't have those discouragements, people run freaking wild. There's a lot of bad impulses in this world. But they're not all bad. They have some good to them. That's why somebody always says, oh, there's got to be some good to them. Yeah, but the problem is the evil outweighs the good in this particular individual. They may have some good, but that doesn't mean that they're, that they qualify for society, that they're not adult people. There's a lot of man children and women children running around there in grown-up bodies that never really became adults. But the very first thing that I do when I'm dealing with somebody that has been hurt or harmed, even regardless, it doesn't matter whether I am responsible or not, I apologize. Well, they need to apologize. I go, they may never do that. Already you've put them into a logical mode. They're out of the hurt mode and they're in the logical mode going, well, if they hurt me in the first place, I've had people come and say, well, you're probably right. Your apology is probably the only one I'm going to get, and you're the only one that's actually said that they apologized to me. Thank you. You just validated that person. Again, an apology is a peer-to-peer thing. It's also a peer-to-leader thing, but it's a peer-to-peer thing as well. You're basically going to them and you're giving them some of your agency. You're admitting you're showing them behind the curtain a little bit and saying, you know what, I'm a weak person too. I have flaws too. I do bad things too. Sometimes I'm motivated by greed. Sometimes I'm motivated by status. Sometimes I'm motivated by anger. Sometimes I'm motivated by jealousy. Sometimes I'm motivated by some very dark motivations. So, we are all like that. So the first thing, and this guy is an adult. He meant that. He meant that apology. It wasn't a two-faced apology. It wasn't out of the side of his mouth. He says, this is what we intended to do. This is what our motto is and what we stand for, and we did not meet our own guideline. Again, he's saying we established this motto. Do you understand how he's setting himself up for accountability? He said, we established this motto and we failed to achieve it. We presented ourselves as this, but we actually gave you this, something lesser. And for that, we apologize. This takes a lot of balls. Especially in this cancel culture, internet, flame war, keyboard hero age that we live in. Wow. Impressive. Impressive. All right, let's go.
Please, don't fault any of our teams for what happened. They all are incredibly talented and hardworking. Myself.
Okay. Here's the other thing. Don't blame the rank and file soldier. Okay? If you lose a battle, you don't blame the line soldier who's there soaking up the bullets and likely is fucking getting killed or maimed because of your faulty leadership. It is the leadership that takes responsibility. It is the leadership. It is the supervisor, the manager. It is the one person who holds that responsibility, who is given the authority, who is given additional compensation to accept the responsibility. And you need to accept it. It doesn't matter if it was their fault. It was on your watch. You accept responsibility. And do not be afraid as a leader. Here's the other side of the shoe, right? The other shoe. If you see, as a leader, you see weaknesses that can lead to bad outcomes, which is your job, then it is your job to mitigate and eliminate those and not be a lazy leader. See, a lazy leader will fail in their role, thus allowing the line folks to fail in theirs. Okay? So, but ultimately in that scenario, who is responsible? The leadership. The lazy, weak leadership is responsible. It is not the line person, it is not the line soldier that is guilty of losing the battle or is guilty of a critical mission failure. It is the leadership. It is the leadership. The leadership needs to be amongst their soldiers, their line people, their frontline employees. They need to be amongst them. They need to understand. They need to hear the rumors and the gossip and what the sentiment is and how they feel about the benefits package and where their salary's at. Are they happy? Or is somebody having a baby? Is somebody having a birthday? It's your job as a leader to form them into a community, to identify outliers, both good and bad. There are some leaders that spend all their time, again, we talked about different levels, same thing with leadership. You have good leaders, you have some bad leaders that have some good, okay? There are some leaders that focus on flaws and don't spend enough time on recognition. And there are some leaders that spend all their time on recognition but are afraid to put somebody on a performance development plan because they ain't doing a job. So this guy is a leader. He's like, do not blame the individual developers on our staff. This is the fault of leadership. It's good stuff. I had a feeling it was going to be good, and it is. This could be a template. This really should be a case study in how you appropriately deal with a huge corporate fuck-up like the release of this game. To me, it wasn't a complete screw-up. It was a partial screw-up, and I think that's why they let it go, because it was the season. It was partially okay. It'll run. Let's let it go, because we're in the middle of fourth quarter, and we need the money. And nobody wants to wait anymore, and we don't want to be a summer release. So they made the call, and they took the hit, and this guy's taking the heat.
And the board are the final decision makers, and it was our call to release the game.
Yep.
Although, believe me, we never ever intended for anything like this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I assure you,
Nobody ever does, right?
to regain your trust. Now I'd like to tell you how the situation
I said that.
I'm talking about a multitude of custom objects, interacting systems, and mechanics. In the game, everything is not stretched out over flat terrain where we can make things less taxing hardware-wise, but condensed in one big city and in a relatively loading-free environment. On its own, this is a challenge.
Relatively loading free.
To make the game look epic on PCs and then adjusting it to consoles, especially old gens. That was our core assumption.
So it's a poor console port.
Super difficult at first. We knew the hardware gap, yes, but ultimately, I think that time has proven that we've underestimated the task. To give a concrete example, and the main culprit, we had to constantly improve our in-game streaming system for all-gen consoles. Streaming is responsible for feeding the engine with what you see on screen, as well as the game.
See, here's the truth. He says we didn't intend. Oh my God, who we got here? Who we got here? Sir, may you please do the dance known as Gangnam Style? I don't know. Is it like Okay. Sorry, but may I ask you, what does the fox say? I don't know. It's like Anyway, listen here, you little piece of shit. Do the following Gangnam Style. Oh, it's BioArmor. I got Scotty Vivo on here freaking pressuring me to do what does the fox say? Whatever that is. Whatever that teen bopper K Korean pop crap is. I heard the PC version was the one to get. Well, I gotta tell you, I've been crying on the channel, BioArmor. I'm enjoying it on Xbox Series X, not the Series X, but the Xbox One X. Fuck. God dang it, Microsoft. God bless America. And on the Xbox One S, it's grim, bro. The loads, the pop-up, the glitch, the everything, to be honest, everything was reduced by more than half. I would say 2/3 of the problem running the game were eliminated going from the S to the X. So, but now, what I wanted to say about this man here was, he says, we made it for PC, and then we worked as hard as we could to get it working on consoles. And he says, we never intended to happen. What happened, happened. Yes, they did. They made the financial call. They knew, when they released the game, they knew it was not ready for prime time on consoles. And they said, we have to keep working on it, but we can release it. We can fulfill the pre-orders. We can get all that money, and we'll just do our mea culpas and keep working on it. That's why they had that huge patch like a day or two after release. They knew the game was going to launch shit, and they're like, well, if we can get this patch out, maybe that'll fix a lot of this, and it just didn't. They knew that going in. They knew it. The one thing that he said that in this statement that is untrue, it is untrue that he and the board and the leadership did not know that this was not ready for the consoles in general, and especially base consoles. They knew it. He's saying we were unaware, because he can't say they were aware. If he says they were aware, that's a crime. He sold the product under false pretenses. It's fraud. It's consumer fraud. He has to say, his lawyers told him, you can't say you knew. You have to be like, we didn't know it was going to be that bad. He can't say that. His lawyers have said, the one thing you can't say is that you knew it was this bad when you released it, because that is knowledge of forethought. It is a crime. It is consumer fraud, and that would be used in the lawsuits that they're facing right now to extract their profit from this game. Bottom line, he has said a fibbery where he said, oh, we didn't know if this was going to happen. Yes, he did.
And since the city is so packed and the bandwidth of audience is what it is, it constantly challenged us. Every change and improvement needed to be tested, and as it turned out, our testing did not show a big part of the issues you experienced while playing the game. As we got close,
he's saying we tested it and it was running good, and then we released it and oops, we didn't know why. He's feigning ignorance to protect him and his company from liability risk. He can be sued directly. If he had knowledge that this was, and he's on the leadership, and he knew he was selling a defective product, he can be brought up on charges. He can be sued civilly.
the final release, we saw significant improvements each and every day, and we really believed we would deliver in the final day zero update. Now let's talk about the
Yes.
we started
I love my X2.
in the first days of the
I only have the one game on it now, though.
We hit the ground running with a really good start on PC. While not perfect, it's a version of Cyberpunk we are very proud of. At the same time, we're fighting for quality on all-gen consoles till the very last moment. And every extra day of us working on the day zero update brought visible improvement. This is why we started sending console review keys on the 8th of December, which was later than we originally planned.
Uh-huh.
This all happened while working from home with all the challenges resulting from the COVID-related restrictions.
Okay, now that is both a lame excuse and a worthy one. So if they were under lockdown and they couldn't work together as a team and they were having to work remotely and all the challenges that come up with that, etc., I kind of want to accept it. And on the other hand, I kind of want to say, well, then you should have delayed the game even longer. But again, I told everybody in one of my previous videos on this particular game, they made a business decision to go ahead and launch in fourth quarter. And even if you have a semi-viable product, it is very tough not to release it. After all the years this game's been in development, they've made not $1 at that point. Well, they've got the pre-orders, but a lot of pre-orders. But to not release the game in fourth quarter when it's almost ready, really tough for them not to do that and just play dumb and blame the coronavirus and the lockdowns. But they probably did face some challenges around that. But they still knowingly released a defective product. They did. They knowingly released a defective product for a segment of their customer base. Enough said.
One of the dynamics we normally take for granted got lost over video calls or email, and we took that hit too. Now I'd like to tell you about our plans for the future.
I don't feel bad now. Okay, this is good. This is good. So he made his statement. See, this part, as far as PR, is very good. Somebody definitely coached him on this. He came out and he made his apology. This is PR 101. He made his apology. He accepted responsibility. He didn't say, well, this, that, them, or the other. Me and the board. Then he made a false claim that they didn't know it was that bad. He says, oh, it was testing fine because we were working remotely and we thought it was working fine and we were, okay. There may be, but in the final analysis, they knew they had a semi-defective product. Not a completely defective product, a semi-defective product. And the only industry you can get away with that consistently is in video games. The only industry currently now in the world that you can just go out and sell a partially defective product without getting litigated, and these guys are being litigated for that very reason. The litigation is specifically you knowingly released a defective product under false pretenses associated to the pre-orders. Okay, when you believe it or not, when you put your money up for a pre-order, you're supposed to get a finished product. So, at any rate, they knowingly released this in a semi-functional state. I love the game. I even played it when I first received it on the base consoles, and it was janky as hell, and I was still getting something out of it. I was still relatively enjoying it, although it was crashing to the desktop every 60 minutes. Every hour, hour and a half, crashed to the desktop. Then when I went to the Xbox Series X, no, that's not Series X, but the Xbox One X, then it was like every 3 hours, and now it's like it's usually still like every 3 to 4 hours crash to the desktop. And you got to restart the game, go back in, and go for another 2-3 hours. It's almost like a health glitch where like it forces you to stop playing after 3 hours, which is probably a good thing. You probably shouldn't play more than 3 hours at a time anyway. But so, you know, then what he does is, which is very good, okay? It's very good what he does here. He goes right to, hey, and now this is what we're going to do in the future. You've dealt with it. You've taken responsibility. You've explained in very simple terms why things went sideways. You know, you were like, look, this is we tried. We thought it was working. You know, we were surprised that it wasn't working. They knew it wasn't working. And, you know, we were going to keep working on it and, you know, whatever, and the COVID and the lockdown and, oh, woe is us. But guess what we're going to do now? That is perfect. You've apologized. You've accepted responsibility. You've made a basic explanation of the situation. You don't go into too much detail. You keep it top level. This is what we were trying to do, the good thing. We're trying to do the right thing. We thought we were doing the right thing, and it didn't work out. We're sorry. Boom, you're done. It's over. That's the great thing about apologies. Once you make them, they're done. They're gone. You never have to re-apologize for the same crap. It's this incident at this period in time and space. I apologize. I will going to do better in the future. And you're done. Leave it alone. Don't revisit it ever. You've apologized. You've explained yourself. You've accepted responsibility. It's done. Don't remind anybody about it. Don't let people harass you about it. I made my apologies and I'm moving on. Sometimes, occasionally, it's rare. Sometimes people will try to bring that up down the road to diminish your status or mitigate your agency or make you look bad in a meeting and stuff like that. And you know what you say? You say, hey, I apologize. I took responsibility and I improved that situation. And it shuts them right down because other people who've been in the same spot you've been will go, yeah, he did do that. He did apologize. I was in the meeting when he accepted responsibility for that, Greg. Let's move on, shall we? And it'll never be heard from again. Believe it. Believe it. So this guy's moving on to, hey, this is what we're going to do to improve this brand and this game. Brilliant. You're going to recapture a lot of sentiment. And until you come out and apologize for that shit you pulled some shit, bro. You pulled some shit. But until you come out and apologize for that shit you pulled, people are going to be bent out of shape. Now, when you're looking at this guy with his blue eyes and his Polish haircut, and you know he's saying, "Hey, we tried, and it just did. We thought it was okay," and you know everybody's been there. And now you're going to engender sympathy, which is what you want. You want the customer to sympathize with you, not be angry with you. If you don't apologize, the person remains angry, and that anger turns into resentment, which almost never goes away. That's why apologies are so powerful and valuable, because they cost nothing and they evaporate anger and resentment. Learn how to apologize easily, and quickly. It's free. It costs you nothing. It's not like you're going to go to apology jail. It's not like somebody's going to look at you and go, well, you're weak, you apologize. It's not you're weak. You have the strength to apologize. You are an adult. You are an evolved person. Let's hear what he has to say about the good shit. Let's hear about BioArmor. When Skyrim first came out, Skyrim was a freaking mess. It was brutal, bro. And we all loved that shit, didn't we? They all made just funny videos about it. That's back in the day when we all had a sense of humor.
97 on consoles and PC. We have already released 3 hotfixes improving the game.
Yeah.
That's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Our ultimate goal is to fix the bugs and crashes gamers are experiencing across platforms. Please expect bigger and smaller patches on a regular basis. The first update will be dropping within 10 days, and it will be followed by another.
Now, this damage control is quite good. It should have been sooner, though. See, if they had me on their team, I'd have been out there on like day 2 or 3 and saying, we have to release a statement. As the marketing manager, I would be the one to make the statement, or I would coach the leadership to make the statement. They handled this perfectly, but they handled it way late. All of the bad, they didn't act quickly enough, probably because they were trying to fix the shit without saying a word, when they should have come out in the first 3 days and said, mea culpa, hot fixes are coming, hang in there, love the game, buy the game, don't be afraid of the game. But they let the explosion, the hot garbage, the tire fire burn too long. They're doing the right thing. They're just doing it way too late. But let's hear what this man has to say. Now, it's not, you have to produce this. You have to put this together. You have to run it by the lawyers. There's a process. But still, they are weeks out from when they should have made this video. Weeks out.
Supporting Cyberpunk in the long term did not change. As for the free DLCs, our initial plan was to deliver them just after the release, much like we did with The Witcher 3. We decided to focus on the most important
free next-gen console update.
Releasing the DLCs afterwards. Expect more information in the upcoming
free DLCs, good.
If you're playing on next-gen consoles in back compatibility, you can still expect the free next-gen update for Xbox Series consoles and PlayStation 5 arriving in 2021. We are aiming at the second half of the year. I'd like to end this video by assuring you that we treat this entire situation very seriously and are working hard to make it right. The guiding principles of our company are still core to what we do. We still want to make amazing games and have an open communication with you.
He's circling back to their commitment.
Our immediate focus is to work hard on making sure you enjoy Cyberpunk 2077.
All right, don't kill it. Let it go at that.
We have many plans for the future, which we'll share more about when we're ready. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video.
Good. He just closes it down. He doesn't get verbose. Whoever coached this guy. See, I think what they did was they hired a professional firm. They didn't have an internal PR group to handle this. They didn't have that. They hired it out after they're like, wow, there's damage control. They might have gone to Warner Brothers. They might have gone to a private firm and said, hey, we're from Poland and we fucked up. Can you come help us? Oh, good God, man. All right. Well, I had a good time with this because this is a case study on how to handle PR, right? So the English version fully reflects our message, added solely for your convenience. That's a nice touch. It's a very nice touch, a very professional touch. But you can tell, like at the end, that was totally scripted. He was told what to say because that was the right thing to say. Let's go back to that.
Which we'll share more about when we're ready. Making sure you enjoy Cyberpunk 2077 regardless of platform. Beyond Cyberpunk, we have many plans for the future, which we'll share more about when we're ready. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video.
I love that. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Let me see where he...
Situation very seriously.
Oh, that's the part. That's the part. Okay, let's get through that.
2021. We are aiming at the second half of the year. I'd like to end this video by assuring you that we treat this entire situation very seriously.
Again, when you say I would like to end this video, you're in control. You got him. Again, let's go through the steps. You apologize. Always step one. You accept personal accountability and responsibility along with the leadership team. Step two. You give a brief explanation of where things went sideways. And then you quickly transition to what you're doing to improve the situation. Then he said, I'd like to end this video by letting you know we take these issues and Cyberpunk 2077 seriously. That is right out of the PR handbook. Is like, we take this situation seriously. This is not funny to us. We empathize with it validates the person. When you say, we take this situation seriously, like he's not sitting at his desk, all 8 hours a day going, these concerns, okay? No, what he's doing is he's actually validating you. He's validating you and saying, we're just as concerned. We take your concerns seriously. We take you seriously. We take what we did to this game seriously, right? That is total professional. This is a polished PR piece right at the 5-minute mark. You don't need to spend more than 5 minutes on this, and that's good that they went and kept it short and sweet. This is one of the best, most concise examples of doing damage control that I've seen in a very, very long time. Usually you see this level of damage control in the political sphere. Rarely do you see things at this polish in the commercial realm. It's usually in the political sphere. Okay, and I'm quite impressed. I'm quite impressed, not necessarily with what he had to say, but what the content of it was and how polished it was, how concise and brief it was, and it was almost picture perfect in doing damage control and making a statement when you fucked up pretty hard and you've taken people's money and given them a defective product, okay? This was handled very, very well. The team he hired did an excellent job, and he came out looking relatively natural. Toward the end, it got a little scripted. You could tell he was reading off a card. You could tell, or a prompter. You could tell that, like, they said, this is what you say at the end. This is your, see, guys like this don't mind getting up in front of people, but they're like, how do I end it? How do I close this out? And that was textbook. Textbook. Okay? Not a Randy Pitchfork, but this was textbook damage control. Great idea. It came way too late. I'm sure whoever they hired to do this, and that's probably because they're a smaller indie studio. Somebody with a little bit more chops or a little bit bigger staff. If they had a guy like me on staff, I'd be like, look, as soon as everybody's done crying and cashing your bonus checks, we need to sit down and we need to produce a response to what is going on out there. Otherwise, our name is being dragged through the fucking sewer. Not through the gutter, through the sewer. And we need to do something about it now. Today. Today. I would walk in and be like, this needs to be addressed today. I want to talk with the department heads now. Our brand is being destroyed right now, and we need to do damage control now. They probably didn't have a guy like that on the staff. Or lady. Or anyone. They probably didn't have a really, really aggressive PR guy that's going to come in and go, what the hell is happening to my brand? Like me. I'd have been in there like day 2 going, we're getting wrecked. We're getting cyber wrecked online right now. Angry Joe just put out a video. Quartering just put out a video. Yang Ye just put out a video. Sterling put a video out on us. We need to address this shit now. I would be like, I want a statement. I want either me, and I've said this too. We had to do a mea culpa presentation at one point, and it was really my boss's place. And I'm like, I went to the big boss, my boss's boss, and I said, we need to do a presentation on this right now. The perception is bad. We're not going to get the IT upgrades we need. We're not going to get the host support we need. I need to dispel these rumors now. The perception of this brand is bad and we need to fix it now. And I said, I want to do either I want to do the presentation. I can do the presentation, or his name was Will. I said, or Will, you need to do it. You're the leader. It's your place. But if you're not going to do it, I'll do it. And he's like, oh, you'll do it? You'll go to this meeting with all these executives and on-air personalities? I go, yeah, I will. And we need to dispel the rumors that are going around about this particular brand, one of the brands that I managed, or we're not going to get the momentum we need to grow this business. I need to dispel this rumor. I need to dispel this perception of our brand, of this business. You can do it. You sure? He goes, yeah. If they won't put you on the schedule, you send them to me. I had one person push back on me. They just accepted me in general. And when I walked into the meeting, a few of them were like, yeah, we're not too happy about, what we're hearing. Because I called it perfectly right. The rumor mill was running, and what was being put out about the business was false and negative, and the perception was it was hurting the customer and nobody liked it, etc., etc., etc. And I waged a PR war to get the sentimentality of that business up to where it belonged. And I was successful. But I was a guy that was a hard charger. They waited way too long to address this. Way too long. The reputation damage has been done. They needed to do this weeks ago. And I would fault them for that. When you have a PR nightmare like that going on, and you're just letting the days roll by without issuing a statement, they issued some ridiculous crap statement, but without something like this is the first thing they should have come out with. It should have been days after release. That next week or that next weekend or whatever it was, they should have been on the spot with this thing. Their problem with this was just the same problem they had with the game, was delay. At least they put out a highly polished statement. It's a good statement. It's perfect in a way as far as the steps, and it was textbook damage control 101. I use the same techniques myself. It's very good. It's exactly what it should be without being any more than it should be. And I know a professional scripted that. I just wish they'd have sought that help and done something like this far, far sooner. I'm going to address the comments. What is this? That whole thing could have been 3 words. Yeah, we fucked up. Hi, we're Polish and we fucked up. Please help us. God bless America. All right, everybody. This is LVO Tour of the Fancy Action Now. We love BioArmor. BioArmor, you are the man with the plan like no other. I'm gonna run. I keep telling you, like I gotta run some of your stuff. You got a lot to catch up on. I'm gonna run some of your stuff tomorrow. And oh, by the way, I got a. Let me show you, Bio, while you're there. Let me show you my most recent pickups. This is just for you, Bio. This part of the video is just for BioArmor. Let's go down to Cyberpunk and just let that roll, baby. Yeah! All right, look what I found. Look what I found. Wow. You're not going to believe what I paid for it. $1, baby. $1. Totally complete. $1, baby. And look at this. Look at this. Suffering the Ties That Bind, Part 2. I found that in the wild. I only paid $1, baby. That is hard to do. Hard to do. Ooh, Blue Moon sent me some money because I saved her from a crazy-ass fan. Right? Yeah! And then Your Shape. It was just Wii U. It was $1. It was $1. And this too. She charged me like $1 for this too. She's like, these games are old. I'm like, yeah, they're old. Let me take them off your hands. $1 a piece. $1 a piece. Super Mario or Luigi's Mansion. Now it is a player's choice. It's a greatest hits version, but you know, Star Fox is okay. Yeah, I know. It's like, to be honest, they've been trying to recapture the hype of that game from the N64, and it was great on the N64. I still own it. I played it, you know. But after that, it's just like, nobody cares. All right, everybody, we're going to end up this video. LVO Toro, Fancy Action Now. Shout out to BioArmor and whoever this character is who's making me do